You're watching the 7 o'clock news on CNC3. I'm Ria Rambali.
I am Jesse Ramdew.
I am Jassy Marik with sport.
And I'm Jamak Rampasad with your weather.
Let's tell you what's making the news tonight. While government's response to Middle East conflict remains under scrutiny, one national in Kuwait praises support from Port of Spain.
I just asked the lady there. I said, were you afraid to come here? She said, no.
As migrant registration resumes, Homeland Security Minister to consult the Prime Minister on possible extension.
Probe launched after police-linked ammunition surfaces in Aruka homicide.
Coming up in sport, TNT's Young Warriors whip St. Martin and set up a final day clash with Costa Rica for the right to advance at the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship.
Hazardous seas and the Saharan dust return. I'll have the details in tonight's weather report.
Hundreds of migrants, including mothers with young children, braved sweltering heat and brief showers outside the Attobolan Stadium in Couva today as they waited under tents for in-person registration.
More than 29,000 people successfully registered online before the February 26th deadline as part of the new migrant registration framework. But as Radhika De Silva and Ivan Tulsi tell us, there were some hiccups, not only with accommodation, but also with documentation.
Braving the scorching sun and then rain, migrants gathered under tents at the Attobolan Stadium, eager to register.
Like events like this, if they could get like the senior citizens, right? Like a line for the senior citizen and a line for the parents that have the little children. So, they could be able to like process them fast and so they could get back. Then the children can be in the sun or so.
Police and soldiers worked to maintain order. But for a few, the process was slow and tiresome.
My wife inside here, we come about 8:30. We was at the 8 o'clock appointment. And up to now, she come out yet. So it's taken long, it's taken a while.
Despite the wait, they expressed gratitude.
I find it was good. It goes smooth. Interview, they ask you a few questions and that's about it.
The officers, them quite okay, loving, speak to you very kind. So I appreciate everything that they've done for me.
Paperwork for some was a problem.
I'm a Jamaican, first of all. Them now tell me say I have to go and photocopy some more paper to come back. So if them say closing at 2 o'clock, I don't know if I'm going to make it back at 2 o'clock, but I'm going to try.
Just before midday, Homeland Security Minister Raja Alexander arrived, denying that some migrants were afraid to register.
I just asked the lady there. I said, were you afraid to come here? She said, no, I want my children to be able to go to school. That's enough for me.
He says there's no need to fear.
Be not afraid. If we provided something for you, for your own benefit, then come and register. That's all we ask. If you fail to, then the consequences must be yours.
Minister Alexander says he will speak to the Prime Minister about migration registration extensions, noting 17,000 children registered online, while over 12,000 applications were incomplete. Radhika De Silva, CNC3 News.
To our top story this evening, more than 200 Trinidad and Tobago nationals remain in the Middle East tonight as a conflict between the United States, Israel and Iran intensifies.
That's right, Ria. While some describe sleepless nights under the sound of intercepted missiles, they say security remains tight. But home, however, criticism is mounting over the government's initial support for the strikes.
Therese Polo has more.
To be honest, I go to sleep like 3, 4 a.m. because when they intercept these bombs, it makes quite a loud bang, So every time it happens, it wakes you up. So there's not much sleep.
More than 200 Trinidad and Tobago nationals are living this reality as the U.S.-Israeli conflict, which began on February 28th, disrupts daily life across parts of the Middle East. Among them, Director of Kuwait Drilling, TNT National Fiaz Mahmoud. Despite the tension, he says he feels safe, even as he admits he would rather be home.
Security is quite tight, and we are very confident with the Middle East security. I mean, it's always worrying when there are bombs flying around, but for us, we feel a sense of comfort. We would love to come back to Trinidad because it's not really a nice thing to experience, but some of us have jobs which require us to be over here.
Mahmoud says nationals across Qatar, Kuwait and the UAE are connected through WhatsApp groups with Foreign Affairs Minister Sean Sobers and UK consular officials in regular contact. Many have formally registered their locations should evacuation become necessary. Other nationals declined to comment, citing concerns that internal and external communication is being monitored. And while those abroad remain cautiously optimistic, backlash continues at home over the government's initial support for the strikes.
I'm very disappointed in our Prime Minister, coming from Trinidad and Tobago, not having anything to do with Iran one way or the other except his people. But all of a sudden you supporting him, supporting that man for what he has done. And I find that is pathetic.
That was very disappointing, right? That they will, comment on this situation so early, as a matter of fact, too. I mean, I think that was very careless of them, and they should have, really, if they didn't have the fact that has any history behind all of this, right? If they didn't have that, then they shouldn't have put out any release.
They are also questioning Muslim members of the cabinet, including Lands and Legal Affairs Minister Saddam Hussein and Deputy House Speaker Dr. Aina Ali for their silence.
I am very concerned that Saddam Hussein and Miss Ali, Sister Ali, would stay quiet on something like this because they're in our office. So nobody can talk to the Prime Minister. Is she the same type of bully Rowley was to his cabinet?
Meanwhile, international relations expert Dr. Anthony Gonzalez warns that the government's increasingly vocal alignment with Washington could expose TNT to diplomatic and economic volatility. He dismisses fears of local sleeper cell retaliation and anticipates minimal disruption to regional trade, arguing that economic ties within CARICOM are market-driven. However, he questions what he describes as an off-the-head foreign policy approach, warning that as a small and vulnerable state, the country risks alienating key partners and jeopardizing sensitive energy agreements, including cross-border gas deals, without clarity on what it stands to gain. Efforts to obtain responses from the Prime Minister as well as other government officials have been unsuccessful. Doris Polo, CNC3 News.
Tobago student Raylon Taylor remains stranded in Abu Dhabi as the military conflict in the Middle East has grounded thousands of flights.
The 19-year-old student of New York University left for Abu Dhabi on February 23rd to attend a school function in the United Arab Emirates and was supposed to return home on Sunday. However, war between the U.S.-Israel alliance and Iran has affected the entire region. Assemblyman Nigel Tate, who is close to Taylor's family, told CNC3 News he spoke to the boys' parents today and learned he is safe and in good spirits. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine said the THA will be liaising with the Foreign Affairs Ministry to ensure Taylor has shelter and food. A limited number of flights left Abu Dhabi today, but the situation remains chaotic. We contacted the boy's father, Ryan Taylor, but he declined to comment.
With Prime Minister Kamla Persad facing criticism over government's support of the United States and Israeli military action against Iran, one local Muslim leader says she's doing what she thinks is best. Imam Rafiq Mohammed of the Makun Street Masjid shared his views after midday Ramadan prayers in San Fernando. He says while global tensions are rising, Trinidad and Tobago must remain realistic about its position, and criticizing Persad makes no sense.
So criticizing, she is wasting time. You have to try to see what you could do to help to build yourself. She's just a figurehead there, and as I've said, she have to use and she have to be very tactful in whatever she's doing, otherwise we will be in trouble. We have to face reality. People are not facing reality, what is taking place around them. Right? We, on the whole, we are on a cliff, we're on the brink. We could go down a cliff.
The Imam urged worshippers to focus less on global politics and more on personal responsibility and faith.
So it boils back to one, you as an individual, you have to do what is best for you. And once we could do that, we'll have peace, love, and harmony amongst everyone.
Since the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iranian targets, tensions in the region have escalated, with Iran warning of retaliation and regional security concerns mounting.
Former Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amory Brown, says the government continues to place Trinidad and Tobago in a precarious position following its declaration of support for the United States. In an initial statement on Saturday, the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs expressed support for continued actions by the U.S. That statement was later retracted. A revised statement removed reference to allies and included an expression of sympathy for the loss of life. Dr. Brown today described the initial statement as reckless.
You don't even have to reach to international law to identify concerns that at least should bring pause and due deliberation before rushing in some sort of desperate desire to please others and put out public information, the voice of a government, in such a reckless and irresponsible manner.
Dr. Brown adds that these actions do not benefit this country in any way, but jeopardizes the country's international diplomacy.
It's not necessarily connected to the best interest of your citizens to whom you have a responsibility. So whether or not the political power changes in the United States of America, Trinidad and Tobago, having sown itself under AMLA society system so completely to the policy prescription of a foreign president, does not augur well for the future of this country. It removes our sovereign voice.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is expected to have talks with U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday.
Trinidad and Tobago's stance on the conflict between the United States and Iran has left some citizens concerned and even confused.
We took to the streets of Port of Spain today, where we asked people whether they believe there would be local repercussions from TNT's support of the U.S. strikes in Iran. Here's what some of you had to say.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
Yes, I don't want to go in Trinidad. This is my country. I love my country.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. I've seen the news and they're going to have a second strike. They killed a few of the leaders already, but they're going to have a second strike.
It must have repercussions because we is nothing to them. We just are dirt. So why we have to get involved in that? Them are they were all in the Middle East thousands of years. You understand? What we do that? We just are dirt. It's just boom and we go on.
I think it will have repercussions for that, you know what I mean? Because I think what they did was so wrong, you know what I mean? To just like bomb another country like that, you know? So I think it will have repercussions.
Yeah, I'm afraid we have war in this country. Things done bad as it is already.
I can see that's having a big problem on economic factors.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
Still to come in the news, from constitutional challenge to a cash award, over $1 million awarded to relatives of the inmate at the center of the no bail ruling.
Safe and back home, anxious families breathe easier after missing fishermen are located.
Coming up in sport, Team TTO's Carifta team takes a familiar shape as several previous attendees book their 2026 spots.
Introducing the new Sun Mix Nut Bar. Available in 3 delicious flavors: granola raisin nut, almond cranberry crunch, and coconut almond crisp. All packed on a rich bed of dark chocolate.
Taste the good life, snack right. Taste the good life anytime. Good life. Sun Mix.
Sunshine Snacks Sun Mix Nut Bar. Taste the good life.
Following reports that the state's file on firearms dealer Brent Thomas has gone missing, former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith is repeating calls for a commission of inquiry into the matter.
Thomas was arrested at his hotel room in Barbados in October 2022 for possession of grenades and automatic rifles. However, the charges against him were stayed by a High Court judge 1 year later. Speaking on CNC3's Morning Brew program today, Griffith said a commission of inquiry may be the country's only opportunity to obtain clear answers about what led to Thomas's arrest and the whereabouts of the missing file.
The situation with Brent Thomas, there's no other choice. Just by the documents missing all of a sudden and you can't find it, that is exactly what is going to happen. This is a massive cover-up, and it is not just about the police covering up. This has to do with politicians.
Griffith said he felt the incident with Brent Thomas highlighted a major breach of oversight in local law enforcement and stressed that the matter should be assessed by an independent party to ensure accountability by those involved.
Yesterday could be Brent Thomas, today, tomorrow could be you. It could be any citizen of this country. Imagine you're in Orlando and some vindictive police or vindictive politician decides to contact someone, or Jamaica or anywhere. We have to ensure this must never happen again.
He contended that everyone involved, from the officers who arrested Thomas to the then Minister of National Security who approved their action, had serious questions to answer.
Investigations are underway into the discovery of ammunition believed to be TTPS-issued bullets involved in the murder of a Karapo man last week. According to police, several spent shells with the markings TTPS were found in Aruca, where Minford Alec was gunned down last Friday. Investigators said despite the discovery of the shells, there was no evidence to suggest that it was a police-involved shooting. Speaking with CNC3 News, ACP in charge of the Criminal Division, Richard Smith, says proper investigations would be required to determine how TTPS shells ended up at the crime scene.
The other angle we can look at it through our investigation is who are the persons we hire, or who are the contractors to distribute, to sell us the ammunition, whether anybody from that angle might be stealing and, selling to persons.
When contacted for comment, criminologist Dr. Randy Sipasad said it was possible that the spent shells recovered had forged TTPS markings to mislead investigators, but noted that even with existing mechanisms to reduce the leakage of ammunition to civilians, more should be done to properly dispose of spent shells.
But the spent shells typically are something that's discarded. So what it really means is that better measures have to be put in place so that the spent shells could be destroyed in a way that they don't end up back into the public domain.
Dr. Sipasad suggested that once recovered at crime scenes, bullets and projectiles undergo extensive ballistics testing to trace the firing weapon involved in these crimes in a bid to increase the chances of finding the killers. Relatives of the inmate who successfully challenged the country's no-bail rule for murder accused are now set to receive just over $1 million in compensation.
In 2022, both the Court of Appeal and the Privy Council upheld the groundbreaking constitutional case brought by Achille Charles. He argued that the blanket ban preventing judges from even considering bail for people charged with murder was unconstitutional, and the courts agreed. Compensation was only settled last week. High Court Master Shirlan Peer awarded $700,000 in general damages and $450,000 in vindicatory damages. The state must also cover legal costs. Charles's mother, Melina, continued the matter on behalf of his estate after he was murdered just days after securing the landmark victory nearly 4 years ago. Now, you can, of course, read more about this case in tomorrow's Guardian newspaper. Well, the state has been ordered to pay more than $125,000 in compensation to two Moruga fishermen whose boat was held for nearly 4 years without lawful justification.
Marcus Dover and Rajesh Laltu took the legal fight all the way to the High Court after their pirogue, Fresh Cash, was seized by police in November of 2021. The men had allowed an employee to use the vessel for a fishing trip. He was stopped off Cedrus, but although nothing illegal was found, found, the boat and its 2 Yamaha engines were confiscated and later handed over to Customs and Excise, despite providing registration documents from the Ministry of Works and Transport and sworn declarations proving ownership. The vessel was never returned. The fishermen, represented by attorney Richard Jackissa, sued the Office of the Attorney General and won. High Court Judge Carol Gobin ruled there was no lawful basis for keeping the boat and ordered its release, along with compensation for loss of use. Last week, the men were awarded compensation of just over $125,000.
And 2 fishermen who were reported missing at sea have been found safe. Boat owner Richard R. June became worried when his fishing vessel did not return from a trip at sea. He contacted police as well as the Hunters Search and Rescue Team led by Valence Rambarat. The boat had left the Guayaguari fishing port around 4 p.m. on Saturday with 2 men on board, Brian Williams from Mafeking Village and another man known only as Beke. They were expected back by 6 a.m. on Sunday. When they failed to return, the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard and the Air Support Unit were contacted and a search effort was launched. Last night, workers on an oil rig spotted the boat.
Workers on those platforms would have spotted the vessel drifting in open water, and the Coast Guard made its way to the platform and secured the boat, as well as the 2 fishermen who were not injured.
Rambarat says the men experienced engine problems. They were brought to shore safely along with the vessel around 9 a.m.
In business news, energy experts say the impact of war in the Middle East involving the U.S., Israel and Iran on TNT's energy sector may be mixed depending on the length of the conflict.
Meanwhile, a newly established company is hoping to push private sector involvement in the Caribbean-owned energy business. Peter Christopher reports.
As Sunday's headlines emerged about tensions in the Middle East, Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal took an optimistic stance that these geopolitical conflicts could bring increased revenues and profits to the local energy sector. However, former energy ministers Kevin Ramnarayan and Caroline Sipasad-Bechan both agree revenue could go up, but also acknowledge it could impact the cost of fuel imports, which may impact the gas subsidy.
That is going to go up considerably and might very well wipe out any gains that we had in terms of foreign exchange receipts and in terms of fiscal receipts. It might wipe out any gains that we got from the export of LNG and the export of crude or even the export of petrochemicals, because you are going to expect that the government subvention will have to go up.
Sipasad-Bechan also points out that in the absence of an operating oil refinery and suboptimal gas production, Trinidad and Tobago may not get maximum returns from the increased pricing. However, it was noted by Sipasad-Bechan and oil and gas advisor Dr. Anthony Paul that the length of the conflict could have greater say on how much Trinidad and Tobago benefits, if at all.
We have 2 factors. One is the cost of the price we get for what we export, and the other is the price we pay for what we import. Right? Now we import fuel. Right? We import all our fuel, all our bitumen, because we don't manufacture anymore. So that'll have an impact. And therefore you can see what the implications are for how long the war lasts, right?
Management consultancy firm Synergy is revising its approach in an attempt to help Caribbean businesses truly stake their claim across the globe. Executive chairman of the company, Dr. Joseph Khan, says the new approach was taken after careful observation of the region's business landscape.
We have a lot of small, medium-sized, and of course large organizations. And fundamentally, because of the changes in the environment, everyone is looking for strategy, projects, execution, governance, leadership. They want to build capacities, and therefore Collective Energy is that organization that has been, tasked with that responsibility.
This new strategy was unveiled at an event at the KPMG building in Port of Spain last week. Support for the revitalized strategy is coming from the Aspire Group.
We are a private equity firm, as well as we have a broker-dealer company. So we really invest in other businesses, particularly Caribbean businesses. We believe in the power in the Caribbean, and we believe that the private sector should drive that growth and development. And ideally, export our great products and services to the world.
And now for a look at today's energy and foreign exchange prices. Peter Christopher, CNC3 Business Watch.
The minister in the Ministry of Finance is encouraging landlords to complete their online landlord business surcharge registration form within the stipulated time frame. Kennedy Surat Singh told CNC3 News today that while the initiative is still in its early stages, there's been a gradual response from property owners since the process opened yesterday. He noted that the compliance window remains fixed and urged landlords not to delay. Under the new requirements, all landlords must register their rental properties with the Board of Inland Revenue. The registration deadline has been extended to May 30th from an earlier cutoff of March 31st. Meanwhile, President of the Association of Real Estate Agents, Sally Singh, said early feedback suggests that landlords were still navigating the new online system with some concerns being reported.
All right, well, still to come in the news, THA chief to consider greater incentive to promote food security in Tobago, but one business owner says labor remains a major issue.
We had mostly fair conditions with 1 or 2 isolated showers across both islands and some of them with gusts over eastern areas. I'll have the details on the rough seas and the Saharan dust coming up just after the break.
The FIFA World Cup is coming, and all eyes are on Laminia Mall.
You like it?
Your immune system is your first line of defense. Discover BioStrath Immune Health. BioStrath Immune Health is enriched with zinc, ensuring that your body stays resilient. BioStrath Immune Health. Get what you need naturally.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry, premier insurance coverage for less.
This season, Ask the Doctor is at a new time. It's your weekly prescription for trusted medical advice. In the Doctor's Capsule, Dr. Tilak Singh breaks down big health topics clearly and simply. Get a dose of smiles in the Kiddies Capsule as our youngest experts share health tips with heart. Explore the science behind the headlines in Medical Minds, featuring real doctors, real insight, and your questions matter. Join the open forum live and get answers straight from the source. Ask the Doctor, every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on CNC3. Attention all listeners, are you ready for the ultimate news experience? Introducing the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, the nation's first and most subscribed newspaper. We deliver where others can't. With the widest delivery network in TNT, you can have the Guardian delivered right to your doorstep or office every single day. Take advantage of our special annual subscription offer so you can stay on top of the leading stories even when you're on the go. Sign up today. Time is running out. Inquire about our 3-month and 6-month packages as well.
Celebrity Family Feud is a show I like because I get to meet people that I happen to be fans of. Jack, how you feel, man? I'm feeling good. Glad to be here. About to bust these guys up. Ah, come on! Let's get it on!
That's okay.
You got me. Name something you like to do to Steve Harvey while he's sleeping.
Tickle him. Sex?
Jabank, we've been enjoying some clearer skies for the past few days, but those conditions are expected to change. I understand that a new plume of Saharan dust is approaching, spelling bad news for visibility and air quality.
That's correct, and sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we can expect the increase in dust from tomorrow. It's a smaller plume, so it shouldn't be as bad. And added to that, we have the hazardous seas alert that just came into effect today. So let's take a look at some of the details of the alert. It's in effect for northeastern and eastern coastlines of Trinidad and Tobago, so that includes everywhere east of Matalat and Grand Riviere all the way to Toco, also the northern coastline of Tobago from Castara all the way to Charlottesville, and all eastern coastlines of both islands, including the offshore areas. Now the alert is in effect until Thursday at 6 p.m. So taking a look at the figures, large waves can be expected up to 3 meters in open waters and 1 meter in sheltered areas, occasionally choppy at times. The breezy conditions are what's causing the rough seas, and the winds are out of the east at around 20 knots with the occasional gust up to 30 knots. So all marine interests are advised to exercise caution due to the large waves and the likelihood of strong rip currents. Now onto the satellite, we had some showers over the Lesser Antilles this morning, including over us here in Trinidad and Tobago, with 1 or 2 of those lingering into the afternoon. To our east, we have a lot of those patches lined up, which will continue to give us those brisk showers for the majority of the week. However, the Saharan dust will return from early tomorrow morning. Good news though, it's a smaller plume than last time, so it will start decreasing from Wednesday. After that, I'm not seeing anything significant on the horizon, at least for the next 10 days. So the forecast for tonight, mostly fair but increasingly hazy as the dust moves in. Just a low chance of the odd shower with overnight lows of 23 in Trinidad and 24 in Tobago. Tomorrow, the dusty and hazy conditions return. We will have the odd shower passing through, but the stable dusty conditions should suppress those showers just a bit. And even though it's been breezy, daily highs have been consistently warm, around 31 to 32 degrees Celsius. Looking ahead, after a dusty Tuesday, there will be a medium chance of showers throughout the week. Nothing significant in terms of rainfall, but just remember that gusts or stronger winds are possible, especially near the showers. Now, tomorrow morning, we'll have an eye on the sky for the lunar eclipse, and this is generally what we can expect. Looking toward the west, at around 4:45 a.m., the penumbral eclipse begins, which turns the moon into a slightly darker shade. Then at 5:50, the partial eclipse begins, but it'll only be visible until about 6:19 when the moon dips below the horizon. Now, this is an estimate of the maximum extent of the eclipse that we'll see tomorrow morning. Now, compared to the view from the United States, ours won't be as spectacular, so I just wanted to manage expectations a bit. Now for those in the United States, they'll be able to see the full total eclipse, and they'll be able to see the blood moon, which is when the moon turns a copper, slightly reddish color. Interesting.
All right. Thank you so much, Jean-Marc. But still to come in the news, the internet has officially caught monkey fever, and we'll show you why this tiny underdog and his IKEA best friend are stealing hearts across the globe.
We are your one-stop, most convenient, most helpful, most caring community pharmacy. Our pharmaceutical services include dispensing medicines, repeat dispensing, clinical governance. But we also have a fully stocked convenience store featuring our refreshment aisle, grocery lane, personal care products, toys, pet supplies. We are most conveniently located out of the traffic, just 2 minutes off the highway in Heartland Plaza in Deba Chaguanas. Contact us on 220-8705 or 470-5938 and visit us soon. Gaming Express Limited is a premium importer and retailer of the highest quality brand name electronics. We stock the widest range of PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Samsung and Apple devices and accessories. Visit us at Shop 52, Level 2 Gulf City Mall in San Fernando, or contact us by phone or WhatsApp message at 687-7480 or 301-9797 or 798-1280. Like our Facebook and Instagram pages for updates on products and services.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
is considering incentives for the private sector as it moves to jumpstart mass-scale food production in Tobago.
Chief Secretary Farley Augustin said his executive council met the business community on Saturday night as part of efforts to strengthen food security on the island. Augustin said Tobago cannot continue to rely on the cargo ferry to feed itself.
What we're looking at is how the THA can provide incentives and incentivize getting the private sector into doing the warehousing and doing the what is necessary so we can mass produce some of our goods here on island instead of just trying to bring everything to through the port in Port of Spain.
CNC3 News spoke with Kevin McLean, General Manager of Berry Cove Limited, which has been operating at Cove Industrial Estate for the past 3 years. He believes a major obstacle for large food producers is inadequate skilled labor on the island. He called for more agro programs to equip the nation's youth for a career in the industry.
You know, we have some youth programs and we get internships and so on, but you know, that's not a consistent form of labor. So to me, having good incentives when it comes to hiring people, incentives when it comes to rental of land or purchase of land at reduced rates, things like that will push, you know, agriculture here in Tobago. You know, we have limited flat land here in Tobago, so at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do.
McLean said greater incentives would help offset challenges such as transport and higher operating costs unique to Tobago. Well, Jassie's here with sport and with reactions to the West Indies team's World Cup run. Jassie.
That's right. The team's exit at the Super 8 stage has endeared some analysts and fans, but one analyst, at least one, is unconvinced of the performance of the team and its head coach. And one Grenadian woman completes the world's 6 major marathons. We'll tell you all about it after the break.
When others surrender to the unhealthy, we rise. When they conform to the status quo, we defy.
We believe energy is earned, not given. We fearlessly defend our bodies from the inside out.
With every sip, we unleash our greatness. We boost, we nourish, we cleanse, we recharge.
We are rebels without a pause, because a supernatural life is one worth fighting for.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order.
Are you tired of the same old boring drive home from work? Look no further. Get ready for the ultimate after-work rush with Freedom 106.5 FM's The Overdrive with Davey. Mondays to Fridays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Let Davey take you on a thrilling ride of non-stop entertainment and education. He covers the topics of the day, delves into the latest food and lifestyle trends, and brings dynamic guests from exciting professions to share their professional stories and experiences. Take advantage of this energizing and engaging experience. Tune into Freedom 106.5 FM, Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for The Overdrive with Davey, the ultimate way to end your day with a bang.
Welcome back. It's time for sport now. Today, Trinidad and Tobago's under-20 men's football team recorded its second consecutive win in Group E of the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship in Costa Rica. The young Soca Warriors dismantled St. Martin to keep their chances of progression alive.
Needing to win to stay within contention to win the group, Trinidad and Tobago began their third match in Group E with purpose. St. Martin, already on the back foot from early, soaked up the pressure. But in the 22nd minute, Adam Pierre pinpointed Charles Williams, who did the rest with flair and finesse to give TNT the one lead. Moments after, LaShawn Morris thought he'd made it 2-0 with the header, but the dreaded offside flag was raised. But in the 28th minute, Dominic Joseph picked out the bottom corner from distance for his third of the tournament and TNT's second of the the day. Malachi Webb netted just before the half-time interval for the second time. A goal was ruled out for a pretty close offside call. TNT maintained that siege in the second half. Williams hit the post to be denied what surely would have been a shout for Sport High. Substitute Giovanni Hospitalis wriggled his way through St. Martin's defense, doing all the hard work before Josiah Kalicharan's item in the 69th. Before Hospitalis got his name on the scorer's sheet with a wicked strike 3 minutes before the end, the fourth and final nail in St. Martin's coffin, as TNT got all 3 points, setting up a winner-takes-all clash with Costa Rica in the final match day on Wednesday. Caston Cupid, CNC3 Sport.
Well, TNT and Costa Rica will enter Wednesday's match locked on points, but with the host team just ahead on goal difference. That's after today's 3-3 draw with Bermuda this afternoon. Costa Rica led 1-0 at halftime, but somehow found themselves having to claw back twice after Bermuda earned a 2-1 and then a 3-2 lead in the match. Costa Rica eventually equalized late to get back to the top of the group on 7 points now, the same as Trinidad and Tobago, but with a plus 15 goal difference to TNT's plus 8. Wednesday's meeting, therefore, between both Trinidad and Tobago and Costa Rica will decide which of those teams will win the group and advance. Here at home, round 17 of the TTPFL's Premier 1 competition was contested on the weekend. While the leaders, Defence Force, were inactive, the chasing pack used the opportunity to make up ground. Caston Cupid has the highlights as well as full standings after the round.
The latest version of the Eastern Derby kicked off at the police barracks in St. James on Sunday afternoon. Samuel Jabate were bloodthirsty for the opener against Caledonia AIA. The Eastern Stallions also tested the opposite number, who had the sharp reflexes necessary. But Cali's defense failed to deal with this lofted ball into the box, resulted in it being handled by the defender, penalty awarded. Isaiah Bongo Leacock stepped up and calmly sorted home, giving the Samoa Kings the 1-0 lead in the 25th minute. Cali tried to get level, even persisting into the second period with a few good looks at the Jabate goal, but with no reward. Jabate went down to 10 men when Leacock was sent off in an off-the-ball elbowing incident, despite pleading his innocence to referee Shalice Hood. With the man advantage, Caledonia pressed for the leveler intensely, but to no avail, as Jabate held on for the 1-0 win. In other results, Police beat Eagles 3-0, Prisons defeated the Rangers 4-1, AC came from behind to hand Point Fortin Civic their 11th loss of the season, while Club Sando blanked a Central FC 3-0. The leaders, Defence Force, remained with the game in hand after CONCACAF duties midweek, but Club Sando closed the gap to 3 points in second, Police is third, and Prisons FC fourth, 1 point ahead of AC Port of Spain. Jabate started the day 7th but rose to 6th with 24 points, same as Central FC. Phoenix is 8th, also with a game in hand. Cali is narrowly outside the bottom 3, which is made up of Eagles, Rangers, and Point Fortin Civic. Caston Cupid, CNC3 Sport.
To athletics, Eden Chiwa and Anika Bailey were the standout athletes on day 2 of TNT's Carifta Games trials on Sunday. Both showed their pedigree in cementing their places on the team for this year's games in Grenada. Jovan Ravello was at the Hazley Crawford Stadium all weekend.
Anika Bailey followed up qualification for the girls 1500 with another stellar performance to also make the Carifta standard of 10 minutes 42.41 seconds. The girls opened 3,000 meters, retaining a time of 10 minutes 39.09, achieving the feat with only the clock in front of her and an appreciative Hazley Crawford Stadium spurring her on. On Saturday, Eden Chiwa, still just 14 years old, attained the Carifta girls under 17 400 meters standard. On Sunday, she again brought the stadium to its feet for the girls under 17 200 meters final. Chiwa's 23.73 seconds means she qualifies for the 200 as well, well below the 24.60 standard. Burnley Athletics' Dario Tavernier also pulled away from the field in the boys under 17 200 meter final to make the cut in 21.47 seconds, attaining the 22.03 standard. Memphis's Javon Grant and Isaiah Teasdale of Simplex were second and third in 22.20 and 22.26 respectively. Naomi Theodore and Zayda Charles were just short of the girls under 20 400 meter standard, but will be part of a strong 200 meter contingent. Theodore won in 23.66, Kayla Charles was second in 23.90, and Zayda Charles third in 24.20, all three making the standard. After attaining the boys 100 meter standard on Saturday, Trevon Stewart qualified for the under 20 sprint double on Sunday, chasing the 200 meter standard of 21.25. The Burnley athlete was across the line in 21.17. Zacchaeus Charles of Point Fortin was second in 21.37, and Camario Diaz meters of simplex third in 21.69. Pace and performances, Nyla Kerr won the girls under 17 800 meters, well under the Carifta standard of 2 minutes 18.19 seconds, clocking 2 minutes 17.87 seconds. It was a 1-2 for the club with Aaliyah Griffith second in 2 minutes 30.52. Princess Towns Mariah Charles was third in 2 minutes 34.91. And in the under 20 boys 800, 2 Tobago athletes dipped under the 1 minute 53.02 standard. Tobago selects Kai Alexander Reed surged from third to pip Darian Whiteman of RSX Phoenix on the line and to the win. Reed clocked 1 minute 52.83, Whiteman 1 minute 52.97. Brian Scott was 400ths adrift of making the standard in 1 minute 53.07. Jovan Ravello, CNC3 Sport.
Now, despite being dumped out of the men's T20 World Cup at the Super 8 stage, the West Indies team has come in for some praises from certain regional cricket analysts. However, not all have been impressed or converted into believers just yet. Ian Wason explains.
Cricket West Indies President Dr. Kishore Shalu has sung praises of the West Indies team after their Super 8 exit of the ICC T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. In a release on the Cricket West Indies website, Shalu noted despite being disappointed that the journey ended in Kolkata against India, the tournament reflected growth, belief and togetherness. Former Cricket West Indies director Baldat Mahabir said the team exceeded most people's expectations and were not disgraced even in a 5-wicket defeat to the defending champions. Mahabir further stated that the region should be proud of the team. However, when asked for his thoughts, former TNT captain Andre Lawrence confessed that he was not convinced that the team deserved to be heralded.
They seemed ready for this tournament, but that doesn't mean that they were good enough to win. They were never good enough to win this tournament. I know the coach said so, but I certainly disagreed, and it showed up when they reached the Super 8s.
Lawrence expanded on the reasons for his strong opinion.
As soon as we started to play some serious teams, I mean, we got beaten and beaten badly. I mean, they had South Africa losing 1 wicket or 2 wickets against us. And then you have India chasing 195 comfortably, you know? So if they still think that they've got all things ready and hunky-dory, I just think that they're terribly wrong.
In 2021, West Indies only won 1 of the 5 matches they played in what was then the Super 12 stage, while the following year failed to reach the Super 8 stage, finishing last in a group with Zimbabwe, Ireland and Scotland. Since Darren Sammy took over in 2023, the team has won all of its matches in the expanded group stage and reached the Super 8 in consecutive competitions in 2024 and 2026. They won 5 out of 7 matches in the last 2 tournaments with a former 2-time World Cup champion captain as head coach. Sammy can now focus on the 50-over World Cup, 13 months ahead to secure qualification for the 2027 edition. To qualify directly to the World Cup in South Africa, Zimbabwe and Namibia, they must be above 9th in the ICC ranking at the end of March 2027. Ian Wason, CNC3 Sport.
Well, the men in maroon also feature in our regional wrap-up as they are delayed on their return from the T20 World Cup, and one Grenadian marathoner joins an elite club.
Philomena Robertson became the first Grenadian to complete the World Marathon Majors and earned the coveted 6-star medal when she finished the Tokyo Marathon on Sunday. The Japan Marathon was Robertson's final race of the set, having previously completed the Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago and New York marathons. Robertson ran her first marathon in 2011 and has used her races to bring awareness to Grenadian non-profit Reach Within, which supports disadvantaged children. And the West Indies men's team return to the region has been delayed in the wake of airspace restrictions caused by ongoing Middle East conflict. The men in maroon bowed out of this year's edition of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup with a 5-wicket defeat against India on Sunday. A Cricket West Indies release says the regional board is working with the International Cricket Council, governments and airline partners to secure the earliest travel arrangements for the squad and its support staff. Jovan Ravello, CNC3 Sport.
And now a pair of TNT under-20s star in tonight's Sport High.
Charles Williams went into his bag of tricks and sat St. Martin's keeper down for TNT's opening item today with that young soca warrior swag. But then Giovanni Hospitalis picked this cross out of the air and on a swivel he let it rip. Yes, a difficult goal made from great technique. So Mr. Williams and Mr. Hospitalis, you both star in tonight's CNC3 Sport High.
Wow, imagine completing 6 marathons.
Imagine that. All over the world.
Of course, it had to be a woman.
Congratulations to her.
Thank you so much, Jassy. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
In some regional news, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown is urging citizens to refrain from applying for U.S. visas unless the travel is considered absolutely urgent.
The advice comes as a new, more restrictive policy takes effect, limiting new visas for Antigua and Barbuda nationals to just 3 months and a single entry. This is a stark departure from the traditional 10-year multiple entry visas previously issued. Prime Minister Brown clarified that this is part of a global U.S. policy review and not a permanent snub to the Twin Island nation. While existing visas remain valid, the PM reminded the public that a visa is a privilege and not a right. A new United Nations report reveals undernourishment in Latin America and the Caribbean has dropped for the 4th straight year, down to 5.1% in 2024.
While countries like Brazil and Costa Rica lead the improvement, the Caribbean remains stagnant at over 17%, largely driven by the crisis in Haiti. Despite the progress, officials warn of a growing obesity epidemic and a stark gender gap. Women still face higher food insecurity than men, while the region now grapples with the highest cost for a healthy diet globally.
Internationally, in an expanding war with Iran, the death toll is rising. U.S.-Israeli joint strikes on Iran killed its supreme leader, a growing list of senior officials, and according to state media, more than 150 girls at an elementary school.
Iran is retaliating with strikes against its neighbor, saying, quote, will not negotiate with the United States. Here's more from CNN.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime.
In his first remarks since strikes in Iran started Saturday, President Donald Trump said Iranian leaders ignored U.S. warnings not to rebuild its nuclear program.
An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat.
The president also told CNN Monday that the U.S. military is, quote, knocking the crap out of Iran, but the big wave is yet to come. At least 4 American service members have already been killed.
In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. strikes on Iran are not meant to be a regime change, but called on Iranians to, quote, to take advantage of the opportunity while explaining the president's mission.
Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes.
The war is sending shockwaves across the globe, disrupting air travel and hiking gas prices in the U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called on lawmakers to pass a war powers resolution in a vote expected later this week.
The American people want us to focus on making their life better, making their life more affordable, not getting involved in another endless war in the Middle East that is going to end in failure.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
From here, let's take another break. Stay with us right here on CNC3. In the ever-changing media landscape, we at Guardian Media strive always to put you, our viewers and readers, first.
We strive to uphold the time-honored tenets of responsible journalism.
For us, accuracy is key.
And in our reporting, we strive not only to be first, but fair,
impartial,
and to uphold journalistic integrity.
Above all, we are accountable to you, and we must respect the views of our audience. That is our solemn contract with you.
Keen attention to detail,
rigorous verification of facts, use of credible sources, and sound editorial judgment.
Keep track of our editorial policies and guidelines, including our corrections policy, by logging on to www.guardian.co.tt for more.
If your social media feed resembles the Jungle Book lately, then you're not alone. Monkey fever is sweeping the globe.
The patient, a tiny Japanese snow monkey named Punch. If you haven't been online in a while, it's time to meet the internet's favorite underdog.
From the sour-faced grumpy cat to Mudang, the adorable pygmy hippo, every few months a new animal seems to go viral on the internet. The latest one, Punch, the little macaque on a quest to fit in. Punch was rejected by his mother last July and hand-reared by zookeepers at Japan's Ichikawa City Zoo. He was introduced to the troop in January, but things didn't go so well. He was rejected and bullied by other members of the troop, and images of Punch retreating to his one friend in the world, an orange-stuffed emotional support orangutan from IKEA, given to him by zookeepers, quickly spread like wildfire. Now, Punch fever is real. Google Punch the monkey and heart-shaped Punch emojis start falling down the screen. People are making plans to go to Japan to save Punch from the bullies. Punch's daily life has even been given the Hollywood treatment, narrated by Morgan Freeman himself.
And now the once lonely macaque has found himself a best friend.
Now, if you're not chronically online, you're probably wondering what all the fuss is about. Well, it turns out we all love a good underdog story, and people are seeing their lives reflected in Punch's struggles. Psychologists point to the screen itself as well. They say watching Punch navigate being bullied without being able to intervene makes us feel helpless, and that helplessness magnifies emotion. Humans are naturally drawn to protect babies, and seeing a young creature experiencing rejection or distress immediately activates that instinct to care and comfort, because rejection, loneliness, and the search for comfort are experiences everyone understands. I guess in a way, we're all just looking for our troop and a little bit of comfort when we could find it. And as for Punch, well, he's slowly winning over the troop, one monkey at a time. And honestly, we love that for him. Brent Pinero, CNC3 News.
Totally adorable. Listen,
how cute is Punch?
My heart went out for when I saw that troop trying to punch.
Yeah.
If I could punch them back. No, just kidding. But yeah, he is thriving, hopefully.
He's doing well. He's doing well.
A lesson in resilience, you know. When you're being punched, punch back.
I definitely need to get a Punch stuffed animal for my daughter.
Yeah, it's quite adorable. Maybe you could order for all of us. All right, well, thank you all so much. That's it for the 7 p.m. news. I'm Ria Rambley.
I'm Jesse Ramdew.
I am Jassy Marie.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rampasad. Have a good night.